Hey everyone, and welcome to Inessence Movement. I'm your host, Paresh Nama. I started the show so I can bring to you the people that motivate and inspire me because I know success leaves clues. And with those clues, we can ask ourselves better questions and find out who we are in essence. Today on the show, I have someone who, in his own words, says he's a sailor in the Royal New Zealand Navy. He's a youth development instructor. He's a survivor of suicidal depression. But to me, that doesn't even come close to describing this man. He's a boxing coach, a mental health advocate. He's a world record holder when he punched a bag twice every second for 60 hours. What looked to be excruciatingly painful, and I'm sure mentally exhausting, is just what this man endures to raise awareness for suicide prevention. And if that wasn't enough, he goes on to do a 2.4K burpee challenge. He's motivating, he's empowering, he's inspiring, he's uplifting, he's mentally strong, he's articulate. Do yourself a favor and follow this man on social media. He is New Zealand's answer to David Goggins. He is Albie Roebeck. Albie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
How you feeling?
Good, man. Good. Yep, that's a good intro.
Thank you.
I don't know about the comparison to...
Well, when I started going through everything that you've done, that was the only thing that was ringing in my head, that mental endurance, that mental toughness. I could not help but compare you to that.
Cheers, man.
So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And when I say people need to go and follow you on social media, like I cannot encourage people enough to do that. What's really cool and what I found with your content is that you've got so many one-liners and so many, like, all of the titles of your videos as well. It's just so brilliant. Like, you've got we can't become what we want by remaining what we are. You've got that one. You've got one more rep, one more time. And the speech that you did for the Freemason dinner was just so articulate and just so perfect. So people need to go and check that out. But the one that I want to jump in with you is Nothing Changes If Nothing Changes. I think it was a short film. Would you call it a short film that you released just last week, I think it was?
Yeah, last week.
And you talked about a lot of things. And I know in the past and in your work as well, you talk about your experience with suicidal depression. And so I know you speak about that at length. So I don't want to go too much into that. But what I do want to know is what changed for you to jump out of those thoughts or having those thoughts or that feeling.
You're talking about, like, more on the road to recovery and...
Yeah.
I would say, like, I didn't know this at the time until, a couple of years ago. But what essentially is purpose, right? So I didn't really know that what I was... I didn't really know that it was purpose at that time, eh? And, and in short, it was my son.
Yeah.
Seeing him, seeing me, even though he was only a child, like, it was either, like I said in that short film, was, it's either below ground or above it. And, he's always dear to my heart, and he's, my children are my purpose. And that was the turning point in my life, is that I had to do something about it, right?
Yeah. But you also say in there, you said something that I learned was to harness and deal with it, but also it's something I learned to love. How do you love something like that?
Again, it's like, it's something that, like, it's something that requires a lot of thought and in-depth process and internalizing. And it's the thing that obviously gives me a sense of passion to do right, to allow people, to feel like, it is okay not to be okay, and those types of things. And I guess that feeds into all of it, hey, is that I wouldn't actually be here if it wasn't for depression.
Yeah.
Right? And something like, it's all about my mindset and how I change the definition, so to speak. That's essentially what I'm trying to say, is that I love it, man. Like, I love who it's made me to be out, or who it's made me today, and I love how it's like a driving force to actually
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah.
I mean, depression, it will never go away. It's just something that you learn to deal with and put these things in place to actually stop you from going down that road again, eh?
Where did you learn all of that though? Like, how did you get through it and learn that?
I think it all came to light through the process and the training to the 60 hours. There's this guy called Dan Stamp, and he would he always corrects me when I say this, but if it wasn't for him, mate, I seriously, my outlook in life and the way that I process things, it's all because of him. He's taught me to change the definition. He taught me what purpose actually is, what values are, and aspirations, and that's something he strongly talks about as PVA.
Yeah.
It's the glue that keeps things together, right? So, that was the actual, meeting him was when it actually enhanced things and provided a lot more clarity.
What do you aspire to now?
Man, I've always aspired to be like a really good dad, and I don't think that I'll ever get there. And but it's just something that I hold dear to my heart, man. It just keeps me true to where I want to be in life and what I want to do and want to accomplish. And and I guess trying to achieve that is passing on what I learnt from Dan and what I go through, in life to my children.
Yeah.
Especially my son. I see a lot of me in him. How I grew up, and I don't want him to go through the same things that I went through, and I don't want him to make the same mistakes as I made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does being a good dad mean to you? Or what does it look like, rather?
Support, man. You have to be there, eh?
Yep.
And you have to be present, and you have to be connected. And especially in this day and age, you need to be empathetic, man. Eh? Yeah. But also honest. Honesty's hard to come by these days, eh?
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you teach your kids to be honest?
Mistakes, man. Eh? You have to be accountable to it. You have to own up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is empathy what eventually led you to become a mental, an advocate for suicide prevention and all of that?
Yes and no way. I just if I was experiencing that type of pain through my life, I didn't want to put that on anyone else. Yeah, empathy. Yeah, and the more the more I can do in that space and help people, the better. Eh?
Yeah. Well, you're already doing a lot.
Yeah.
So, I commend you on that, and I also want to thank you as well.
Yeah,
just on
cheers,
behalf
mate.
of everyone, that what you're doing to bring awareness is an important work. And it's really cool to see what you're doing. Like I said, you in the intro, you've gone and done the 60 hours of punching a bag, and then you've done the 2.4 burpee challenge. Why put yourself through that?
When I initially came up with the idea, my son is heavily he loves Guinness World, World Records, and he had the book.
Yep.
And he had the book in my vehicle.
Right.
And I was driving home from training, and I thought, how can I do something for him so he could be proud of? And then also, how can I raise awareness in that space? And initially I wanted to do it for you know, Māori and Pacific Islander,
Yep.
or Islanders, and
Yep.
and you know, youth, because that's the highest. And then I thought, like, as I went along, it was just that change to just in general way, suicide and depression, and bringing awareness to that, and how can I create the safe space for people, and and then that, you know, like, initially it was only 50 something hours. I think I had 54 hours set, and I seen that someone else had like 56, and then I thought, should I go to 58? No, I'll go to 60. And then 60 has been the theme for, or is going to be the theme coming up. And then the 2.4 kilometer burpees is a fitness test in the Defence Force.
Right.
And burpees is like a, you know, like people love and hate it type thing, and more people hate it more so. And I thought, like, how can I make 2.4 is achievable. And initially people, you know, like, I think people get caught up in the burpee aspect, and, you know, and that's what they psych themselves out in. But the way that I developed 2.4 kilometer burpees was about support on this, you know, how to do it and lean on each other, break it down into achievable lots, you know, so it was a team of 4, 100 meters, so on and so forth. So 6 times around Trust Stadium. And it was also to bring, you know, like, awareness to stress and anxiety, and you know how that plays into the Christmas, you know, and how can I alleviate those pressures? And the first one was to donate food to a food bank, and to those, you know, the community service that the police do in West Auckland, those types of things. And and I guess, like, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and breaking things down is, for me, the best way to cope with anything.
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, you're not, like, if you're experiencing low moods or you know, some kind of mental issue there, or whatever you want to call it, like, it's not gonna, you can't solve itself in its entirety over a week or 2 You have to break things down, and however that may look like for you will look different to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's similar to, like, buying a house. You have to put these little things in place. Say you're not going to wake up next week, work 200 hours and buy a house, are you? So it's that, you know, you have to go with that kind of mindset that it's a goal to get better. Well, essentially it is, to get better. And you got to put those little things in, SMART goals, like I like to use quite a lot, you know.
Nice. You talked about, you know, splitting it up, and there's a team of 4. Also in that Freemason speech, you talked. It was surprising that you said, "We're going to achieve the 60 hours. We're going to do it," when it was actually you alone that was going for that 60 hours.
Yeah.
How important is teamwork, and how important is having a support person?
Major. Like, my post today was, or my story was about, you know, like, a healthy and strong support system is crucial to life, And like, I think that you won't be able to achieve anything in life, no matter what it is, without a support system. Like, if you didn't have the support of your family to do this, we wouldn't be sitting here at 7:45 at night doing it, right? And that's the same with my end. And when I speak about, and all my posts, it's never about me. I can't do this alone. And plus and you know, if I talk about myself all the time, people are going to switch off. Then the buy-in factor's not there, and then I don't get that. You know, people need to feel a part of it, and need to feel like I am essentially there, which I am. It's just that, you know, if I need to make the most impact, it's never about me. It's all about everyone else out there, and how we can support each other.
Did you learn that from your time in the Navy, or?
Yeah, man. To a certain degree, like we have core values in the Defence Force, and comradeship is one of them, And yeah, like you won't be able to achieve the things that you need to without the person to the left, right, behind, and in front of you. Yeah, man.
And it's almost heightened at that stage, I'd imagine,
Yeah.
because at some point it's going to be a matter of life and death.
Yep.
What else did you learn from your time in the Navy?
I learned like who not to be. Okay.
Okay.
There's always a culture in a lot of things, and whatever the culture is in any space, it's how you are, like your input and your involvement to it. And I loved every single bit, or I love every single bit of the Defence Force in my time in the Navy. And you know, like it quickly showed me that in order to be someone in life, like you can't go through one lying to yourself about your current state of mind and your current state of action. So you have to be courageous in that sense, and that's another core value, courage. Yeah, and it all, you know, and on the same token, it taught me who I should be, and hence the line of work that I'm doing today. I needed to give back, and I needed to align myself with my purpose.
Yep. Speaking of giving back, what do you do with the youth?
So essentially, we work with at-risk youth. Not all of them are at risk, but on the majority they are. And we integrate them. We reintegrate them into employment.
Okay.
So it's a 6-week residential course, so to speak, and we basically give them what we got when we joined the Defence Force and the Navy, and we condense what essentially was 15 weeks for me and my training into 6 weeks, and impart on them what we've learnt, the culture, and you know, those core values that we've developed in our time, and you know, onto them, and show them and steer them into the right path. And you know, at the end of that 6 weeks, you know, like a lot of them come out with a job of some sort or further education, irrespective of what they've done in life, and irrespective of whether they've got a criminal record or whatever. They come out better than what they came in, 100%.
Yeah. It must be extremely rewarding.
Very rewarding, man. Very rewarding. Like, you're not always going to change everyone, but you're going to have an impact on most. And when you're able to like reflect on what that person was on day one to what they are now on day 39 or 41, whatever it is, it's amazing, man. Really amazing.
What does having an impact mean to you?
Like allowing, it's a good question, man. My mind's going everywhere. Giving them the tools, bro. Like that's the most. Giving them the tools to actually do some. You know, like the right tools to do something in life. That's, one, change their life, change people around them. You know, their family's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll answer that more. So
Is that different to what you try to do with your social media or as a boxing coach?
To be honest with you, I don't. Everything that I post is not to actually have the intention to have an impact, the intention behind it is to make people feel, actually not even make people feel, it's for people to feel a sense of belonging, that we are there to support them. And, it's okay not to feel okay, and these things are totally normal. So it doesn't really have anything like the impact. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I get that. What about with boxing? When did you start boxing?
Around 17, 18. Yeah. And then when I got posted to Australia, to Melbourne, that's when I took it up pretty seriously.
Yeah.
And I was amateur there for a little bit, and then I came back and then competed here, and just didn't really take it any further, And I at that time in my life, I got more joy out of coaching people and helping people.
Right. How many classes, or do you do classes, or is it just
I don't do any classes anymore.
Individual clients?
Yeah, and train fight teams.
Right. What have you learned from your time that you did box that's transferable to real life?
I hate this word, man, but to be hard in a sense, is that, like, I feel, and the way that I train people is that everything it's mental, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, it's 90% mental, 10% physical.
Yep.
And essentially it's you and the other guy in the ring, eh? And, if even in sparring, like, it just teaches you to actually, you're going to have to problem solve really fast. If you're getting hit with the jab all the time, you're going to have to make these alterations and these adjustments.
And react accordingly.
Yeah. And 10 times out of 10, man, it's really subtle. And that's what I try and do, in life, and impart on my boxers and my children and people who I come across, is that change is not this, hey, it's often very minute and a small thing. It's like, like the ripple effect type thing, eh?
Yeah, for sure. So what does success look like to you?
To be honest, man, I've never actually really thought about that. I have a dream, but yeah.
You comfortable sharing that dream?
Yeah, man, like, there's two parts to it, eh? Like, I really want my children to live a happy and enjoyable life. And I'd like to see the stigma around mental illness disappear, man. Okay.
Why do you think that exists?
And
is it a cultural thing?
I don't know if it's a cultural thing, because I don't know what it looks like everywhere else in the world. I could only imagine, right? I think it's more of an upbringing thing, really,
Interesting.
Hey, like, when I was growing up, I don't think that depression really ever had a name, to be honest with you. I wouldn't know, I haven't really looked back that far, but you always thought that someone was just crazy in a sense, and that, you really didn't even know why. Do you know what I mean, eh? So, and in our time now, through the power of social media
Yeah.
and stuff, is that now there is a label to it. We know what it looks like, and more importantly, you know how to there's things to put in place to overcome it and help you more.
Yeah.
Rather than, from what I gather, it's like, oh, he or she's crazy, boom, locked up somewhere. Rather than the process now is to, yeah.
Yeah, because now when you mention that, I try to think back, and I don't even think I remember hearing the word depression
Yeah,
until probably towards the end of high school, really.
yeah. And
That's a crazy thought, actually.
yeah. It is, man, And it's quite funny, man, because my son, he's ADHD, and like we experienced this teacher of his in really old school,
Yeah.
and they said that there's no such thing as ADHD.
It's so dangerous.
Yeah, and so when you say that type of stuff, then you're not willing to accept that he is different, and you don't put these things in place to allow him to be who he wants to, who he is, and also to like give him the correct mentoring and assistance to cope with these things,
Yeah. How's he doing now?
Good, man. Still, as he grows older, medication has to shift in terms of dosage. We've got to learn different coping techniques. Yeah.
So what are you doing personally to get rid of that stigma around mental health?
What I'm doing now, basically, it's hard to actually put yourself out there and make yourself vulnerable. Nobody likes to get judged, There's always going to be that element of it. And there's always going to be people thinking that you're doing it because you want followers or you want likes. And I'm not that type of person. And I don't really give two damns about it, really. But the thing for me is, it's making yourself vulnerable and just sharing your experience.
What do you think we can do as a society? Is it the same thing?
Same thing, I think, not everyone's going to be willing to go to, and probably as in depth, as I do. And there's people that are going to go more in depth or further than I do. But I believe that the more people talk about these issues and come to the forefront of it, the better,
Yeah.
I think, I really think that we're getting better, but it's also hard to gauge, because all it takes is a like, push of a button, a comment. Like, I'm a face value type person, I don't really,
Do you receive hate?
Yeah, bro.
You do?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine so.
Sometimes, I just pay no attention to it. It adds no value to my life, so I don't really.
You speak about vulnerability. Have you always been okay with talking about what you dealt with?
No, man.
No. What was the change?
Purpose. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Do you think we as a society need to become more vulnerable? And what's really cool about you is like on your feed and like as we spoke, I think it was probably last week, I said, "You're happy to come on the show?" You said, "Yep." I started going through like your whole timeline and watched all your videos and stuff like that. And then to go from watching you, punching a bag and then coaching, to seeing another video where you're crying is extremely powerful. And it's powerful to see, you know, what on the outside looks like a big, strong, macho man, to be that vulnerable just allows me to be vulnerable. It allows all the men out there to be vulnerable. So again, I want to thank you for that.
Cheers, man.
But yeah, do we need to be more vulnerable as a society, and men in particular?
Yes and no way. That can go two ways, eh? I think we just need to be more genuinely supportive, eh?
Is that asking for help, or
Asking for help, being there, like a prime page, man, is the Kiwi Daddies thing.
mm-hmm.
Hey, there's some people in there that shouldn't be on there, but on the majority, like the group of men on there, like they're very supportive of one another, eh? And there's men all crying all the time, and it's always like based around, you know, children and the involvement that they want to have and the interaction that they want to have with their children, but for whatever reason they can't, or they don't, or they're not allowed to, or whatever. But the support that they get, or you know, these that they offer, is amazing, and to me it looks genuine, and it's consistent, and it's upfront too, eh? And it's honest. And you know, like the other day, a guy was talking about not being able to see his child. I can't remember what the reasons, and one of the guys said, look, grow a pair and get there and pick up your daughter and take her. You have as much right as, you know, like just go and do it. Pick her up, take her out, spend the time, stop looking at, stop dwelling on the what ifs or the can'ts and that, which I thought was massive. Yeah.
What was the outcome of that, do you know?
I don't know, man. There's hundreds of posts there a day, and so it's hard to actually, and I don't spend too much time on Facebook, eh?
Yep.
So, but what I do see on there is really positive.
What is the rest of the year look like for you? What are you working on?
So I'm working on, when I said 60 was the theme. So I'm doing a run on Anzac weekend.
That's soon.
Very soon. And on Anzac weekend or Anzac Day, we pay a tribute to, you know, our veterans and those people that served in the wars and that type of thing. And we often forget, from my point of view, we often forget about the Pasifika people that served in the Māori battalion, for instance, the Niueans, you know, a small contingent of Samoans, Tongans and Rarotongans.
Yep.
And I feel like it's, you know, of me being Niuean and Samoan, I feel like I need to do something in that space. And me being in the military, you know, like, I feel like I need, you know, that just added a sense of purpose to do this. So to tie things in, 60.8 kilometers is the length of Niue Island, the road,
wow.
So I'm going to run the length. I wanted to go to Niue, but obviously because of COVID. So I'm going to run 60.8. I'm going to run it in military uniform with boots and like a weight vest that's the equivalent to a fully loaded webbing, right? And then my son, I'm still trying to get him on board. he's going to run the length of Rarotonga, which is 32.7, I think.
Yeah.
But he's only going to run it normally, right? And so we're going to do that. And the other purpose of it is highlighting mental illness, in particular in the Defence Force, and highlighting a buddy system, or how crucial it is to have that and a support system in place. So my son will be my support guy, I'll be his support guy.
Nice.
And what I'm going to do is encourage people to come and run it with me or with another person or other people. And they could either run 10 kilometers or they can run the whole 60. Whatever they want to do.
Yeah. Tell us more about it. Where can we find out more? Whereabouts is it?
So I'm going to film this week. I'm going to put it out.
Cool.
Yeah. And so we're looking at Cornwall Park. I'm going to map out a 10K loop, and then, you know, that will give a clear indication of how far people are out in their run, or how far, you know, and they can break it down. You know, run a loop, rest a loop, run a loop, whatever they want to do.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm going to do it at 11 p.m. at night.
Why is that?
Because nighttime's the loneliest part of the night, when people are going through depression and things like that. Hey, so like I said, I think whenever I plan my events, there's
a lot of meaning behind it.
There's a lot of meaning behind it. A lot of meaning behind it. And yeah, when I was going through when I had depression, and even to now, like, the nighttime is the loneliest. For me, that's when my mind is going crazy.
What is your body? What is the relationship between body and mind? Like, you put yourself through all these physical challenges. What does that do to your mind?
There's no secret that physical exercise, you know, releases these good, you know, feel good endorphins and hormones and things like that. For me, it's all about growth, and one of those things, meanings behind all. One guy said to me, like, you're doing these things, and you're still fat. And he said it to one of my mates, you know. And I know where he's getting at. But what I want to, like, highlight is, and show people, is that you don't need to have abs, or you don't need to look a particular way to achieve these things. You know, do I need abs to overcome depression? Hey,
it's not going to help you.
No. Do I need to, like, have 10 houses to overcome depression?
It's true.
Hey. So, like, that's the thing. Like, you don't have to. Anyone can do anything that they can, you know, that they put their mind to. And I haven't trained so far as much as I want to. But I can tell you now, I'll do 60.8.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll even probably do a little bit more. And my son will do it too. Yeah. Whether he feels like he can or not, he'll do it. Like, he has that in him. So yeah, and then the reason why I'm doing it at Cornwall Park is that's the precursor to tie my mental in and get familiar with my surroundings, is that I'm going to run 60 times up One Tree Hill. And that there is based around self-love. A lot of people, like, if I asked you, tell me something good about yourself.
You find it really hard.
Really hard.
Yeah.
If I go, tell me something negative about yourself.
Easy.
Boom, straight away.
I'll give you a long list.
And it just doesn't, the ratio's unfair and outbalanced. And so what I'm going to do, and this was like a thought, like, I didn't come up with this, you know, a friend of mine, she said to me, this is what you can do to enhance this. At the start line of that, you know, from the bottom to the top, have post-it notes. And everyone that comes will write a negative thing about themselves, or 4 negative things. That's going to indicate 4 times you go up. You'll screw it up you throw it in the rubbish bin. Along that transit, there's going to be a station with chalk, and you're going to write a positive thing or 4 positive things about yourself. And every time you run past that, subconsciously you're going to see that, and it's going to build in there, and it's going to stamp its stuff in there, and it's going to have authority in your mind. And so hopefully moving forward on that, people are it's going to help people in the long run. And then at the end of that, I'll have like a burning ceremony. I'll burn all that negative stuff, put it out there, and that's it. And I'll encourage people to, to do the same. And I'll put it to other people around the world. Yeah. And then I'll be looking at, I want to do 65 hours on the bag. I didn't like the way that I did 60 hours. That's just an internal thing that I have with myself. And so whether it's this year or next year, I'm not too sure. And then I'm going to take that burpee, then we've got 2 burpee events. I'm going to take it to Rotorua, and then I'll come back the weekend after and do it in Auckland again. And because it's growing. And then the year after, I'll take it to Wellington. Year after, I'll take it to Christchurch and those types of things.
Nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So before we wrap it up and I ask you my final question, I do a little segment called 5 for 5. So I ask you a list of 5 questions. The number of question is the number of answers that I need. So question number 1, I need 1 answer. Question number 2, I need 2 answers. And so on and so forth, right? So just to lighten the mood a little bit, question number 1 is, who do you think is the best boxer of all time?
Can I just give you my favorite one?
Yep.
Bernard Hopkins.
Bernard Hopkins?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Number 2 goals for 2021. So obviously the 60K.
Yeah, actually to achieve all the things that I've set myself out to.
Brilliant.
And to really maximize, there's that word again, impact that I have on society.
Okay. We'll talk, I want to talk to you about that one. Maybe off camera though.
Yep.
And then question number 3, 3 keys or like key factors or characteristics of a successful person.
Integrity, drive, and mental clarity.
Mental clarity. Nice. Question number 4, 4 things you're grateful for.
Life, family, people, and my upbringing, man. I didn't have the best, but I didn't have the worst. But I'm super grateful for my parents.
That quote, by the way, is life doesn't happen from Tony Robbins. Life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you.
For you, yeah.
And that's upbringing is absolutely a part of that. And then question number 5, 5 people that inspire you.
That inspire me. My dad, his work ethic, man, is crazy.
Is that where you learned your work ethic from?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah. But he's yeah, bro, he's amazing.
Next level.
Yeah, next level. You're gonna make me cry, bro. Yeah, he's next level, bro. My children, and that's about that's about it, man. I think I can't, I think if I get too caught up in drawing things from certain people, and I think that's where we get that whole comparison factor.
Yeah.
Like, why is, for instance, Tony Robbins more successful and has more money than I do if I'm doing some of the similar stuff? Like, you know what I mean? Like, although I feel like people need inspiration and draw it from other, like, to me, I don't get too caught up into it. I hope that's a fair answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. But sorry, bro, I can't give you 5 of this.
No, that makes complete sense, and I can feel it from you as well. So no, that's all good.
Yeah.
So my last question, and you can take your time to think about it, but who is Albie in essence?
First and foremost, man, I'm someone that's like you, eh? I'm no better. I'm capable of the same things that you're capable of, and vice versa. I'm someone that will compliment, like I can compliment what you do, if that makes sense, eh?
Yep.
I'm someone who loves life. And just wants to actually, I genuinely care about people. I don't get it right all the time. Like, I'm still trying to find that balance and separate certain things and aspects of my life. But yeah, man, I'm just a dude, man. That's it, 100%. I'm just someone that just loves life and wants to, I feel like I need to say this, bro, if I have time to do it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, I'm going through the hardest part in my life at this point in time. And I don't want to put any details out there. But the last couple of months has been really, really hard. But what I really want to point out, and the reason why I want to say this, is that just because I'm going through a hard time in my life doesn't mean that I'm depressed. It doesn't mean that I hate life. It doesn't mean that that I dwell on things too much in the negative space. It just means that I acknowledge where I am at this point in time, and I can see an out, and I can see the end, the light at the end of the tunnel. And I feel that, like, that's what people need to understand, is that just because you're going through a hard space in your life or time, that it doesn't mean that it's all over.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Cheers, bro.
So I look forward to your video about this 60K run. I just want to end by saying what you say to everyone in the end of your videos, and you say that you're loved, you're worth it, and you mean something to everyone. Especially me. I appreciate you being here. And again, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.